1% algorithm. Your life is a game, and this game has an algorithm. Right now, your algorithm is determining your current reality. But today, I'm going to show you how to utilize the algorithm of the top 1% so you can get control of your life and create the life you actually desire. I went from being broke, sleeping on a basement floor, unsure of how it was going to change my life, to becoming a top 1% earner in my country in the span of 2 years. Now, I teach my clients how to use the laws of the universe to break their income ceilings and more. I'm going to bring you through 5 insights, and these insights will shift your internal algorithm to access the top 1% programming. I use the word programming specifically because we are all programmed. You've been programmed in a way that's keeping you where you are, and it's not your fault. You simply don't know how you were programmed and why it's getting in the way of what you truly desire. So let's get into it. Today, my wife has used her fantastic artistic skills to draw the handy dandy diagram of the universe.
I see very much imperfections in my work, but it's a growing project, a growing process.
Hey, an artist's work is never finished, right? So we got 3 planes of existence. We got spiritual. I got new markers too, guys. Got mental, because the other ones were starting to go dry. Actually, to be honest with you, I actually left them open and they went dry. And physical plane. This is how reality is built. The 3 planes of existence, they are all connected, as above, so below, as within, so without. So the first thing you need to understand about the algorithm of the 1%, and I'm going to be talking about the mind a lot today. Here is mind, right? This plane is mind. This would be body, right? Body and soul, right? Soul is up here. But I'm going to be talking about the mind a lot. And the first thing you got to understand about how the top 1% algorithm operates is through discernment. Okay? So we'll write that here. So what is discernment? Now, I talk about judgment a lot on this channel and not judging other people, right? Particularly not judging other people and not judging the things within your life that you have done and canceling out charges around that, which I've spoken about on this channel at length. But here's the thing. You're always going to end up judging something. You're going to end up judging something because of your amygdala, and it's built for your survival, right? Your amygdala is built for your survival, so it's always going to determine something that's bad, that you perceive as bad, or something that you perceive as good. This is also how your subconscious operates. So you need to make choices in life. That's discernment. And you need to make the quote unquote right choices for your life to progress your life in where you want to go, whatever it is you want to achieve. More money, better physique, better relationship, promotion at work. You need to make choices to make that happen. And your amygdala, right, your charges of what you think is bad and good are going to determine those decisions. But why is it that so many people make decisions that don't get them where they want to go? It's because they don't know their values, right? So get my free value finder tool. Link is in the description below. They don't know what they care about. And the one question you need to ask yourself when you are learning things from people, particularly when you're learning things from people, the question you need to ask is, does this apply to me?
That's a good question. Sorry.
Yeah, because there's all sorts of learning you could do, and you could end up on the wrong path using somebody else's algorithm, somebody else's teaching, somebody else's training. You could end up on a different path, a wrong path than where you actually want to go because you don't know what you care about. You don't know what you care about. So let's say you value financial independence and you value family. So you want to get financially independent and put away money for your generations to come and create a system that they can be rich forever, like the Rockefellers, right? Now imagine you go on the internet now and somebody who's rich and wealthy and financially independent tells you, spend it all. Don't leave anything behind for your generations. Just die with nothing, right? That theory, die with nothing theory. You might listen to them because you actually don't know what you care about. You don't know what you value. So you might actually listen to them and start spending all your money on yourself and get to a certain stage of your life where you have kids or something and you are not in a position to put away money for them or put them in a position to have better financial independence, and you're gonna have problems with that. You're gonna feel guilt about that, a negative thing. You're gonna feel guilt about that because you listened to somebody else's values. They just didn't value family as much as you, so they don't care to put away money for their family. You, on the other hand, do. So if you listen to their advice and don't ask the question, does this apply to me? You are going to be screwed. Okay? This is discernment. You are not going to make good choices without knowing what you care about. Understand? You always got to ask yourself, how does this align with my values? And get my value finder tool. It will help you out a lot.
I was gonna say, like, at one point I had a mentor that I looked up to very great. Like I had pedestalized them. And like getting to know them through actually learning from them, I was realizing there's a lot about their life that I didn't actually want to become my reality.
Right.
But there was specific things that I saw. I liked how they implemented it, but their life was completely different. Like, we travel all the time. They're very much like not stable in the sense of like finance talking about, but like stable in the sense of like they're always in the same place. So their practice will look completely different to mine, who's someone who's always on the move. So I had to take the knowledge that fit my values and then kind of transform it to like actually fit my need.
Exactly. Remove the wheat from the chaff. That's what it is, right? Take what works for you, and you need to have discernment to do that. Now, how do you actually reach a level of discernment that allows you to carry out what you care about, that allows you to move towards your purpose, your mission, and your vision? Okay, soul is over here. How do you actually do that? You have all this mental noise in the way. This is why you don't ever know what to do. Like when you have choices come across your desk and you get paralyzed, you don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do that? And you're asking permission from people all the time, and you're trying to see if you are allowed to do certain things, and you're really just looking for confirmation of what you already know you can do and should do. I'm careful of the word should, but when it comes to values, right? When it comes to values, whatever you value is what you should do, right? So the reason you have this mental noise is because you have these charges, okay? These charges of negative and positive, these charges in your past of shame and guilt and sadness, depression. And over here you have fantasies and you have pride and you have all these sorts of charges in your mind, and they block your vision. They block you from being able to see clearly, and they block you from being able to really ask the question, does this apply to me? Okay, so you need to cancel out these charges, which is a nuanced process that I bring people through, which is not through the scope of this video, but yeah, what's up?
It kind of like, as you're saying that, I saw like the visualization of like the radio, where like when we used to have like the antennas with the TV, it's like the noise and all the static is like, it's hard to really pick up the message or see the picture clearly.
Yeah.
But once you kind of fine tune it and know what that value is, all of a sudden, and like you neutralize those charges, all of a sudden the image is clearer and the message that you're hearing is more in tune and clearer to where you're trying to go and what you're trying to do with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got radio interference, you got radio noise in the way, and this is why you end up doing things that aren't aligned with what you care about, with what you value, because you got all these fears in the way. Okay, on this side, we got fear, right? You got these fears in the way. Over here, you have fantasies, right? These are all things from your past. These are all charged moments from your past. Here you have shame, things that you're ashamed about or fear being shamed about in the future. Here you have pride, right? So these sorts of things block your vision. They cloud things up. and then you can't have discernment to make a decision. Now, what happens when you cancel out your charges, when you start seeing the negative in the positive and the positive in the negative, what you start reaching is a new level of awareness through the law of vibration, right? So this is vibration. We got the spiritual plane moves the fastest, and the physical plane moves the slowest. And how you move up in frequency is simply through awareness. You guys have seen my diagram. It explains many things. This is how the universe operates, and I apply it to different concepts. You're gonna have more awareness when you cancel out your charges, so you'll have better discernment. So for instance, you're aware that if you step into traffic, you have the potential of ending your life. That's a level of awareness. If you don't know that, if you're not aware of that, you could get seriously harmed, right? So you have better discernment based upon your awareness. And the higher level of awareness you have, the more wisdom you have. And when you have wisdom, you have discernment. You're able to make better choices. This is the first part of the algorithm of the top 1%. They make choices that work for where they want to go, their values.
So wisdom would be like the experience behind something versus knowledge would be like something you've learned or like read.
Yes. There is declarative knowledge, which is just being able to declare facts, and there's experiential knowledge or wisdom that you've actually experienced something. So somebody who's actually been in a boxing fight is going to have a totally different level of wisdom than somebody who's been watching boxing on TV for their entire life but never stepped in a boxing ring, right? Totally different level of understanding. And this whole discernment thing and this whole values thing, not knowing what you value could really mess up your life. This is how cults are formed. And I have been in a cult, so I can attest to this, all right? This is how cults are formed. Cults are formed, right, when certain people don't have a direction. They don't know entirely what they care about, what they value. They don't have a direction. They're lacking some sort of direction. Then somebody with more certainty comes along and says, here's the direction, and they import their values into you. Okay, they import their values into you. It's usually the leader of the cult. Their values. The thing is, no one has the same values as you. So eventually, cults split apart because people's values become misaligned over time. Over time, you realize, no, I don't want to do that. That's not for me. No, I don't want to do that particular thing. That's not for me. And eventually, with enough of that happening amongst people, it all falls apart. Okay? Legal problems happen, and this happens, and that happens, and that happens, all because people's values are misaligned. That's how it operates. But during that time in the cult, you can end up doing some crazy stuff, which I didn't do no kind of weird Diddy type shit, but you know. All right, so that's discernment.
No, but we gained a lot of wisdom.
A lot of what?
I said we gained a lot of wisdom.
Gained a lot of wisdom. Number 2, this is one of my favorites. I talk for a lot on that, but you know, I don't make videos for people who can't pay attention. It's that simple. Like I go into depth in these things to give you guys as much insights as I can, and I don't make videos for people who can't pay attention. So sorry. All right, this is one of my favorites. Number 2 is Sword of Gryffindor. For any of you who have watched Harry Potter, this is a replica of the Sword of Gryffindor. Why do I have one of these? This hangs in my office, okay? I took it down for y'all today. Why is this in my office? Because the Sword of Gryffindor in Harry Potter only absorbs things that make it stronger, okay? What does this mean? It means the Sword of Gryffindor can cut a blade of grass, but it's not going to absorb the energy of the grass to become stronger because the grass is too weak. Instead, if you watched Harry Potter, it will absorb the power of a basilisk fang, which is something with a lot of power that can damage somebody. It will absorb that because it'll make it stronger, okay? So number 2 for this algorithm is what I call the Sword of Gryffindor. People in the top 1% only make time for the things that better them. Now, this is subjective and objective. What I mean by subjective? Actually, let me start with objective. A lot of people in top 1%, they take care of the normal things that you would need to take care of to be a healthy human being, right? Like your health. They work out, exercise, whatever, right? So that's something that's like objective, but not all of them. Something that's more subjective is something like alcohol. Somebody could take alcohol, right? Someone in the top 1% could drink alcohol, knowing that they need to network with people. And they naturally are not somebody who's outgoing, extroverted like that, gonna talk to people normally. And the alcohol gives them a little bit of liquid courage for them to carry out their values, for them to network with people and meet with people and speak in a more comfortable way amongst people so that they can network and do business. Now, somebody who values health more would say, what are you doing drinking alcohol that's gonna make you weaker? Who says? Depends on the context. So it's subjective. I get a lot of people asking me, oh, if I drink alcohol, will it mess up my ability to change my reality? If I smoke weed, will it mess up my ability to change reality? Ask Snoop Dogg.
He's the most productive high person I know.
Ask Snoop Dogg. Did he mess up his reality by smoking weed? I don't think so. Think he's fine, right? Because it's subjective. It all depends on what's necessary to bring you to your highest values. Now, that doesn't mean if you take these particular substances or you rely on these particular things and they make your life more problematic and they take you away from your purpose, mission, and vision, take you away from your values, then they're making you weaker. You understand? So, as somebody who's trying to tap into the top 1% algorithm, you need to look at what is going to empower your life. Is more exercise gonna strengthen you? Is learning gonna strengthen you? Is developing resilience gonna strengthen you? You want to optimize for resilience, and you're not gonna be resilient if you don't have strength. The reason you need to optimize for resilience, not because you need to suffer throughout life and that life is suffering and that everything is hard, which I'm gonna get to. You need to optimize for resilience because things aren't always gonna go your way. You don't want to be the tree that's super, 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 super tall, that everyone can see, that gets the most light, right? But its trunk is thin and its branches don't reach deep. Because when something comes by, a strong wind is gonna knock that tree over and it's not gonna come back up. So you need to optimize for resilience, and you get resilience by doing the things that make you stronger and living in your values, subjectively and objectively stronger. Only consume that which makes you more powerful. You want to be the tree that has roots that reach deep down and a thick trunk that the wind can't knock over, that the lightning can't destroy. That's what you want to optimize for, because life is always going to throw curveballs at you. It's the law of rhythm. Things are going to go good, and then they're going to go bad, and then they're going to go bad, and then they're going to go good. And if when things go bad, if you can't bounce back, you're going to be in problems. So optimize for resilience. You look like you're going to say something.
No, I'm literally feeling lightheaded because of the baby, and I'm trying to make sure I don't fall on my face.
Oh, God. I don't know if we're going to have a video this week, guys. Oh, no. Okay, so Sword of Gryffindor. Taking that, what makes you stronger. Number 3. Question, what is normal? Question, what's normal? Because if you do what's normal, you will get normal results. You need to ask yourself, let's say whatever industry you're in. Let's say you're in the fitness industry. Let's say you're a fitness coach. You have to ask yourself, why do 99% of fitness coaches train in this way or teach their clients in this way? Why do they do it that way? Could it be done a different way? How could it be done a different way? Would it be better if it was done a different way? You need to question what's normal because you will be within the 99% of the masses instead of the 1% of masters. You'll be in the 99% if you don't start thinking and questioning what is normal. The only things that are going to regulate what you're able to do is the laws of reality, okay, which would be mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, causation, and gender, which I've spoken about at length, my Kabbalion Well series. You can check that out. As long as they don't violate the laws of the universe and they don't violate the laws of physics, you can basically get it done. You can get it done. And this is one of the things that Elon Musk says when somebody tells him, oh, you can't do something. He says, does it violate physics? What do you mean I can't catch a rocket out of the sky? Does physics tell me I can't catch a rocket out of the sky? No. Okay, then I can do it. You gotta question these things.
You know, it was super cool. Before we did this video, I came across this woman, and she is a bridal nanny.
Bridal nanny?
Yeah. So
what does that mean?
The norm would be being a nanny, but she literally, on the special day, you know how normally people are like, oh, don't bring your kids or whatever. She has like a group of people that will watch the kids and they'll help them like get ready for, you know, being like the flower girl or whatever. And she watches people's kids, especially during the after event when everyone's drinking and partying. She's the one with the kids and the activities. And like people hire her as a part of their wedding budget.
That's lit.
Like that's so smart because that's really needed. Like a lot of people, like that makes or breaks whether they're going to be able to celebrate the day they want to and have the people there.
That's lit and smart. And it's very much based on a pain point. Like, oh man, I'm not going to be able to be at my friend's wedding because of my kids, and they'll pay more money for that.
Exactly.
And it's clever. It's very, very, very clever. Yeah. So you got to ask questions that cut against the norm, that go against the grain. For instance, it's a common belief that it's hard to make money. Is it hard to make money? Is it hard to make money? First of all, hard is a polarized vector, right? So let's say over here is hard, right? And over here is soft. It's a polarized vector, which means it's neither, okay? Which means it's neither. It's in the middle, because when is hard, hard, and when is soft, soft, depends on who you ask. If a 4-year-old punches you, is it gonna be hard or is it gonna be soft? Depends on who you ask, right? Hard, is making money hard? What do I have to do to make money, right? Do I have to go to a job? Is going to a job hard? Or is training for a fight and getting beat up every day, is that hard? I found that hard. I find coming on YouTube and making videos and getting traffic and helping people out to make money, I find that far easier than training for a boxing fight, which I did. It depends on who you ask. So is making money hard? It's all based on your perspective. I don't look at making money as hard. I just look at it as a series of steps.
I look at it as easy.
There you go. It can be easy. It all depends on how you think about it. Are relationships hard?
Not ours.
Exactly. Depends on who you ask. Depends on who you ask.
That's so true.
It depends. It really does depend on who you ask. Are relationships hard? Or do you not understand how your partner's values complement your values and are trying to teach you something about yourself and are trying to get you into authenticity? Are they hard? Always depends on who you ask. You really need to start looking at the norm and seeing if it fits with you and seeing if it has to be that way. This is one of the biggest things that is gonna rocket you into the top 1% algorithm. Right? Number 4, one of my favorites. You know what I forgot to draw in here for a second, and I need it for this point. The all, the top of the spiritual plane. The all, God, Allah, Brahman, Big Bang, You know the deal. Whatever you want to call the initial creation spark of the universe, it is the fastest moving point of the universe. It is the initial creation spark of everything. Okay? And speaking about the fastest, you need to have speed. And I'm putting a star here. Speed. Move quickly. You need to stop overthinking things. It's easier said than done. Oh, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if that happens? The only reason you're overthinking things is because you're not living in your values. So you can't get inspired. When you are inspired, you have spontaneous action. You will automatically act without thinking about it because you're doing what you care about. So the only reason you're overthinking is because you're either living in someone else's values, you're thinking about what someone else said you should do, and you're unsure of your path. You still have noise in the way of what you're meant to do, of what your purpose is, of what your mission is, of what your vision is. That's why you overthink. Listen, I'm prone to overthinking as well because I'm doing something I don't care about or care about less. So for instance, when I go to work out, which I care about less, but I work out because it's good for my business. It makes me sharper, and business is my highest value. So working out makes me sharper. It's gonna make me live longer, which means I have a longer time horizon to accomplish the things I wanna accomplish in business and financial independence and teaching. That's why I work out. But I value it a lot less. So before I go to work out, I think, oh man, what workout am I gonna do today? Should I do that kettlebell workout or should I do this dumbbell workout? Maybe I should do calisthenics today. How many reps am I gonna do? And I do like half an hour of overthinking because I care about it less. You understand? And it prevents me from going to go work out. But then I finally decide and I go do a workout and I'm good with it. But when it comes to business or YouTube, making YouTube videos, whatever, yeah, I'll think of ideas, but I'm not overthinking them. Once the ideas hit me, I write down what I'm doing super quick because I'm inspired because of my values. Inspiration lives up here, right? Inspiration. Whatever you do not value, you will need motivation. Oh, motivation. You know how to spell, Seth, today. Motivation. Whatever you don't value, you're gonna need motivation to do. And motivation is fleeting. Motivation does not last. I need someone to motivate me. I need something to happen. If you have to rely on external circumstances, the physical realm, externalities to drive you to do what you're meant to do, you will not reach the top 1%. You can only reach the top 1% through inspiration. Look at all the people who are in the top 1%. Let's use a Jeff Bezos, for instance. He was inspired to make Amazon. Or an artist, right? The Weeknd, for instance. The Weeknd was inspired to make music. No one has to pull his hair to make music.
Just saying, because you said speed and then you put the star beside it. And I was thinking like light speed, which is basically like, the all and all that. And I was like, so bet on yourself. You are the star, shoot like it.
Facts. Bars. Okay. So also what prevents a lot of people from moving with speed is fear. Okay. It's better that you get something wrong and have acted than to not have acted at all. Because action is necessary. Action is necessary in the physical plane. Okay? But you want spontaneous action built through inspiration, which happens in the mind first. So when you hear people tell you, you can't use the physical plane to change the physical plane, or you can't use an effect to change a cause because the mental plane is cause and the physical plane is effect, so you can't use an effect to change an effect, right? It all starts in your mind. You need inspired action, which begins here, accessed from here, right? Accessed from the spiritual plane, travels through here, then you take the right actions. But it's better that you actually do something than nothing at all. Because when you do something, and let's say you get it wrong, let's say you do fail at something, at least you know what not to do. Right? You can check that off of the things that you don't need to do to reach your goals. If you don't take action, you'll never know. You'll never know, right? And speed is just a common factor among successful people. All the successful people I know, multimillionaires, even people who are fit, people who have great relationships, they move with speed. That was a weird snap. Speed. Okay? So there's a businessman I know, older Jamaican man with a whole bunch of kids. And he runs what is appliances. He sells appliances and he's into real estate and he's into other things. And he's a multimillionaire, right? And sometimes I get nervous to hang out with him because he moves so quickly. I'll be like, look, man, I know this guy, he handles this accounting thing and he can get you this line of credit and blah, 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 blah. And he goes, call him now. Say, yo, just like chill, man. Like, hold on. Like, can I text it? No, call him now. He moves so quickly. We together we were looking and getting some Airbnb stuff happening in the islands, and he moves so quickly. I was like, we were at dinner. I was like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And he was like, okay, tomorrow I'm calling you about setting this up. I said, whoa, yo, like, can I like think and do some research or what? He's like, no, I know a guy down there. We're gonna call him. We're gonna see what properties we can get, blah, 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 blah. And he's moving fast, right? Which makes me nervous. I'm telling you to move with speed and I'm telling him like, yo, calm down, right? But it's good because we come to find out, okay, there's more at play than what we thought, and then it's not really a good investment at this time. And that would have stayed in my head, okay, for months, like just grueling over it. Should I do this Airbnb thing? Is it a good investment? Blah, 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 doing all my own research, all this sort of thing. When I had 2 conversations and it was over and we decided, yeah, this isn't a move. Speed, okay? You don't want things to take up your mental bandwidth because that creates more noise. So move quickly. It's very, very essential. Where's my marker? Okay. And number 5. Keep it simple. Complexity crumbles, simplicity sells. You need to be very careful about people who convolute things, who make things seem super, 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 super complex. I need to understand something. Most things in life are simple, okay? And since there is polarity to life, right, there is simplicity and complexity. But simplicity is the highest form of intelligence. Simplicity, the initial creation spark of the universe, this fastest moving point. Simple, orderly, okay? Down in the physical realm is chaos. Chaos. And here we have order, right? If someone can't explain something to you in simple terms, they don't understand it. It's that simple. I'm saying simple a lot, but they don't understand it. Now listen, I make these big, long YouTube videos because that's how YouTube operates, okay? Sometimes you gotta make things a little longer, and I go into depth because you can turn the simple complex and give people more nuance and tell people how things operate and get into more depth with things. But ultimately, 1 + 1 = 2. She might disagree with me.
I'm just your balance.
1 + 1 = 2, okay? Keep things simple. And I'm reminded of a guy, actually Canadian guy. I think he lives in Bridle Path, which is like the rich neighborhood in Toronto. And I saw something on YouTube where this guy was going to basically rich houses, like big houses in Toronto. And he goes to this guy's house. And it's like an older man, maybe in his late 70s. And he says, well, how do you live in this place? It's a giant mansion. What do you do? He's like, well, I'm a businessman. He goes, well, what's your business? He said, I run a trucking business. I run a transportation business. He says, well, how do you get started? He goes, I started with me on 1 truck. Simple. And then I got a certain amount of money and I got another truck and I hired people and I got more trucks and more trucks and more trucks and more trucks and more trucks. And now he's transporting stuff all throughout Canada. It's a simple concept. You understand? When you try to complicate everything, you're moving in chaos instead of order. And that will mess things up for you because confusion does not equal a decision. When you are confused, you can't decide. And you cannot move quickly while confused. A confused mind doesn't act. So if you're selling something to people, you got to tell them exactly what it is you do. I help people use the laws of the universe to make more money. That's what I do. Okay? Simply. If you need to tell people an essay about what it is you do, you don't even know what you do. So why would they ever buy anything from you? Why would they ever trust you? Why would they ever assume you could help them? You got to keep it simple. If you can't tell it to a fifth grader, you need to figure it out.
Yeah, so stop teaching math so complexly.
Yeah, facts. Like I didn't use Pythagorean theorem for anything. I'm good at math, but I don't use none of that. 80% of what I learned in math, I don't use. So yeah, simplicity is the greatest form of intelligence, and that's what you need to use to complete your algorithm. So we have discernment, we have the sword of Gryffindor, we have, which means only taking that what makes you stronger. Question what's normal, move with speed, please, for God's sake. Move with speed, okay? And keep it simple. And that is how you will create the algorithm that rockets you from down here to up here, top 1%. I'll see y'all next time. From me and wifey.
Peace.